Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another beautiful episode of Dhammapariyesanā. Today's day 42. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our guest today, Sotheary Yim, who is going to share with us the intricacies of self-love, because a lot of people think that it is selfish. When someone is into self-care, self-love, it's kind of a selfish thing. This is what the normal perception that is going around many people, and she's gonna share with us about some of the self-acceptance myth busters, because self-acceptance is what we need to replace with self-love. So I hope that Sotheary will share her secrets for how to maximize your self-love or self-care so that you can live the life you had always imagined. So that's the greatest thing today. Let me paraphrase Sotheary. Sotheary Yim is an accomplished psychologist, psychotherapist, organizational coach, and peace builder. A lot of aspects, huh? Over the past 17 years, Sotheary's engagement with people and their unique stories has inspired her work. As a psychologist, raised and living in Cambodia, she has focused her efforts on trauma, healing, and reconciliation with the survivors of the Khmer Rouge and its aftermath. Her work in this area has also involved a specific focus on gender-based violence. Sotheary is also the author of a number of publications, including Understanding Trauma in Cambodia, Past and the Present, of forced marriage survivors. Looks like that she's more focused on the young women who might be struggling in different ways. Experience toward healing and a trauma-informed project planning guidebook. Turning to her credentials. Sotheary received her master's degree in clinical psychology and counseling in 2010. She's completed a number of international training programs on human rights and peace in post-conflict countries, transitional justice in the context of post-conflict countries, psychotraumatology and trauma treatment and EDMR. Sotheary has been certified as a peace and conflict consultant by this German organization called Academy for Conflict Transformation in the forum Civil Peace Service in Germany. Sotheary's recent peace-building work has focused on training national facilitators across a variety of countries, doing creative dialogue and intergenerational dialogues as tools for social change. And looking at her life as a young girl, being brought up traditionally as a girl and a woman, she's most passionate about her work to address gender bias and discrimination and to advocate for equality. Her strong views, commitment, and actions have inspired other younger women to be the fullest of themselves, regardless of gender. Aware of the stresses and the mental and physical exertion associated with working in the field of development and the need for mental health and psychosocial support, MHPSS. Sotheary has also focused on staff and self-care and leadership coaching. She calls for mental health and mental care as one component of inclusive development because it is for sustainability, it is human rights. I think this is one of the longest introductions I made in my interviews, but I was happy to do that because
Okay.
you've been someone who is very vocal about young women at the same time. I also noticed that in one of your interviews, podcasts or something, that you are not only focused on younger women, you focus on everybody who wanted to, who wants to fight for their rights in terms of injustice, inequality, and all that. So, Dhamma friends, please join me in welcoming Sotheary Yim. Sotheary Yim, how are you today?
I am good. I'm good. Yes. I
I
did.
know.
I start my morning with yoga and breathing exercise. That was good.
Okay, what a very organic way of starting the day.
Yes.
And I know that you've been giving a lot of, you know, substantial talks. Recently, I noticed that you gave a talk at uh, where do you call it? TED Talks,
TED
and
Talk.
you also
TED Talk.
given talks in different capacities. I think that you gave a talk about gender
Justice and healing.
gender bias or discrimination at the University of Sydney, Australia. At the same time, in countries like Iraq, Nepal, Germany, and all these places. So you kind of somebody who is espousing and who is maintaining this valuable piece of thought. You are, raising awareness about all this. So this is why I wanted to uh, uh, invite you to talk about this particular topic, self love, because self love is such a very misperceived and misunderstood topic in today's world. Because a lot of people think that self love is often one of the clearest forms of selfishness. Let me you know kick off by introducing you a couple myths so that you can sort of delineate these myths. So one of the myths that I found out about self-love is it is selfish. This is one big myth in society. Another myth is material body is self-love. A lot of people think that if they can go to a spa, if they can go to a massage parlor, they can get a pedicure, nail care, massage. That is self-care. That is self. So they kind of uh, put it in a way that material body is self-love, which
Hmm.
which might not be true because it's kind of a whole expanded version of life. Another myth is self-love is egotistical and self-centered, kind of uh, revolves around kind of a big ego, according to them. And one last myth is self-love is for the weak. Strong people don't need self-care. I think people
Ah.
who want self-care is those who are weak, who are
Hmm.
who are weak, who don't have strength.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's begin our discussion in a way how you address these couple things, and we will go into uh, how do we define and all that. So Sotheary, how do you see these myths and how we can break free these myths and then get started this?
Great. Thank you. But thank you for having me. Actually, I'm happy to speak louder and to the country here in Cambodia, also to the world about love yourself, about self love, or in other words, it's loving yourself. And apologies, my English is the second language, so I might use some words that is not the right sentence. So yes,
That is perfectly tolerable because we all understand.
great,
Yeah, I hope that we
great.
can bring what do you call the contents about the topic. So I don't think
Great.
other than that,
Yes, that's
there's
good.
something
That's
we have
good.
to worry about.
That's
Yeah,
good.
please go ahead.
That's good. That's good. I'm very interested in what you shared earlier about material bodies and a few other things that is, in fact, a lot of people think it is the only way to self-care, which is part of it, but not. But first, I want to really address just the word self-love. What does that mean? And because some, as you say, a lot of people are confused about the word and they don't dare even to use the word because they feel it's a selfish, or they may feel, oh, I'm weak, that's why I need to take care of myself. You're right. Self-love means simply mean love yourself, and love yourself mean like having a high respect to yourself, uh, or respect your own needs. Respect your own needs. If you need something, you have to respond to it rather than just keeping it and say, no, I should not have this. My children's or my neighbors or my family members should have it. So that doesn't That's not self-love. So what you need, respect yourself. What you need, especially respect yourself for your well-being and happiness. For your well-being and happiness. You can also say looking at your own need while also taking care and listen to others' need, but don't prioritize the others' need than your need. If you prioritize others' need than your own needs, it means you're sacrificing. That's the word sacrificing is already explained enough that you don't love yourself enough. And don't sacrifice yourself, give everything from you to others just to please others. That's not self-love. So in short, love yourself, give a high respect to yourself. And what are the actions that around self-love? A lot of people, as you mentioned earlier, thinks that self-love has a lot to do with being materialistic or involved with something commercials, like going to spa, go swimming, going to, like, for women's nail care. Some people also count plastic surgery as self-love. And for me, I would describe later why people do. Like, we can talk later in this session about what makes people do plastic surgery, for example. Is it self-love? Is it because they or they feel not complete? Oh, sorry, my neighbor is it disturbing? It's okay. Yeah, self-love can start from being aware, especially listen to yourself, listen to your heart, respond to it, respect yourself. Sometimes these words, especially women, we are raised to take care of others. A lot of women, not every woman, but a lot of women in many society are taught to take care of others, her husband, her family members, her parents and her children. And then when she do something for herself, people projected her or giving feedback that no, this is not loving your family, this is selfish. So most of the case, I work with women, they are struggling with loving themselves because the surrounding tell them that it's selfish. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's amazing. I mean, the kind of introduction you brought up. And, you know, one of the interesting things that I wanted to ask you also, the definition, I think sort of like delineated the definition, but let's take a look at how do many people look at this word called self-love. Now, for starters, it can mean, for starters, like someone who wanted to look at it, okay, what is self-love? How am I going to get started? So they might look at it in a way, talking to and about yourself with love, prioritizing yourself because they don't know how to deprioritize, giving yourself a break from self-judgment, trusting yourself, being true to yourself, being nice to yourself, setting healthy boundaries, and forgiveness. Now, in contrast to these starters, many people think this is differently. They might think, listen to our bodies, take breaks from work, and move, stretch, and probably put the phone down. They're always struggling with the phone.
I did this morning yoga.
Yeah. I mean, in this fast-faceted world, and then connect to ourselves. So this is how they look at. I think people look at self-care differently, where self-love is a part of. So, and also people think self-love is a little bit, odd than self-care. So, there are things going on with this self-love thing. At the same time, we had to look at where does our society stand on self-love, right? because I myself can be very much into self-care, but I don't know, because I had to work with society, I had to work somewhere, I had to engage, interact with other people. So this is what the society thinks might affect my thoughts. So in short, what does self-love mean to you, and what do you think about where does our society stand on self-love? I mean, you can sort of combine these two in short.
You are you are you speak already mentioned the word love. It's especially it's different definitions. Like I have my own definition of self-love. You have definition of self-love. Definition, especially definition, not much difference. But the thing is, what we do to love and care yourself. That's a lot varied. That's a lot just different. I myself, I start to take care of myself after I made myself love myself. So when once I love myself, I start to take care of myself, because I people told me when I was burnt out, experienced burnout back to like 7, 8 years ago. People told me that you work so hard. I was working hard with a survivor of sexual abuse and sexual exploitations. I do psychotherapy for them, and it was the burnout experience that I had to quit. I had to quit clinical works for some years, and I had to be honest with you that I just regained this energy back and restarting my clinical work after that long and huge burnout. I care of others so much. I care of others, other women's rights and equality. There is social injustice so much that I forget to love myself. So then I define the word. I sit down and define the word. Like, yes, I have to love myself first before I can do something to women and other society. So start with love and care of myself. And the way I care of myself is I look in. I really look in. I also look out, care of myself physically, body physically. I make sure that I'm fit. I'm not overweight, because again, people, the overweight or big people can also love themselves and take care of themselves. But for me, I like to feel good enough, light enough, not heavy, because heavy, it make me feel sick. So again, that's all definition to me. So I take care of myself physically, mentally. And when I take care of myself mentally, I really look down, look into my heart. I work a lot on my inner child. I work a lot with my inner child, looking back into my childhood traumas, my childhood unpleasant experience, and take them out. Speak to my inner child. What was the wound? What should I heal? Especially during this COVID-19 lockdowns and pandemic and lockdowns, I have to admit that I take this chance a lot to work on myself, and I realize that this is important. And I always spread the word that don't be panicked, don't be so just frustrated with COVID-19. It's also could be a time you can look into yourself and heal yourself. This is the way that when you hurt, take it as a gift, that there's something you need to heal yourself. Yeah, so inside and outside for me is caring. Yeah, and when I care about myself and love myself, I feel so good about myself, and I can take care of others too.
Great. Now, when we yeah,
and when you talk about the society,
yeah,
when we talk about the society, again, coming back into self-love and individual self, connect to others, relate to others. It's all. I explain. Let me put into a simple word like this. When I talk to people, I say, well, if you don't love yourself enough, if you don't feel peace in yourself enough, it's like you holding a bowl of fire. It's holding a ball of your fire in the heart. It burns you, and it's also the fires come out to others. So you cannot make peace with others. And if everyone's just holding the bowl of fire in the heart, the society won't be at peace. The society just fuel each other with fires and conflict.
When we look at social point of view about self-care or self-love, specifically self-love, as I said at the beginning, there are a lot of misperceived thoughts, notions going on, probably assumptions. Now the thing is, in the West where I live, we have always have the impression of be you, right? This sense of independence, sense of independence, sense of being on your feet all the time, stand on your own feet. But in the East, because of the social pressures, I'm not saying West is better than the East. I'm looking at, because you speak up for the young women and the people in your country for coming up, and then speak up and all that awareness. So I think there's definitely social pressure. There is definitely cultural pressure for people not to be them, not to be who they are. So I think there is definitely this social pressure, peer pressure, cultural pressure, so on and so forth. So in light of these different pressures and stigmas and all that, how can someone tap into self-care? How can someone stand on one's own feet? Hey, I want to practice my self-improvement work from today. It doesn't mean that I want to go to a nail care place or massage place or so on and so forth. I want to think about myself, but I don't want to be labeled as someone who is selfish, which the kind of terming that many people say outside there. So what is your piece of advice for someone to start off this thing, who already understand this is an issue? I gotta begin my self-improvement practice. So how does someone start out this, especially for someone who's living in a culture where the culture adamantly says that you can't be you. You have to be the person that who we think you are.
Yes.
So how does someone, give a start, kick off this thing?
Thank you. That's a lot to elaborate. I also wish to elaborate the selfish and self-love as well. But before that, I worked a lot, and my thesis, master thesis, is a lot working on attachment and bonding and the way. And these days, I work a lot, advocate a lot on parenting. The way when I mention advocate on parenting, I talk to people to look at the way they parenting their kids. Is it pressures? Is it like how freedom enough? How pressure? How much pressure you wanted them? People's always try to raise families, including society. People try to raise a child in a box or in a frame. They say like you have to walk the right path. You cannot just, and that's already limits the creativities and suppress
in boxing
boxing, and depress, suppress, and living with suppress is again, if we look at it, it's a power relations. When we look at conflict and peace perspectives, it's power relations. And you already mentioned that when someone do not follow us, you're kind of upset and you try to suppress that person, or you have to listen to me, this is wrong, this is right. And that's nothing right or wrong. It's about if we speak about humankind, it should not be right or wrong. Nothing. It should be the person themselves. I also don't want to judge or any Western or Eastern culture or society. But again, I looking at the way parents teach their children are so much different, and sometimes these two try to accuse each other. Like when the women's, for example, or the children's, it's a bit like arguing or say no to the suppression. They start to say, "Why are you so westernized?" It's starting to have accusing each
Escalate.
other, escalating the conflict, and actually the way I parenting my children is free from suppressions, so they can love themselves. Because I admit that as being a mother, especially since I'm becoming a single mother, I realized that I don't have energy to just really controlling and taking care. Why do I need to why do I need to control people's the way I want to? Let them do the way they want to, and listen to each other, because love themselves. Because I believe that loving themselves, loving myself, I am able to love others. That's my parenting style, and that's what I'm advocating. Coming back to the society that is precious, especially for women and self-care. Looking at looking at history, which is not long ago. Sadly, that a lot of women are thinking about self-care. Most of them, including me, is when we experience burnout, when we experience overwhelming feeling. And again, get back to, because we were raised that as a woman, you have to take care of your family, of your society. So what I changed in my work these days, I talk about self-love and self-care for the advocates since the beginning. For example, in your introductions about me, it is part of the inclusive leadership, inclusive developments. Every leader should start to love themselves before they burn out, because it's the love spread. Yeah. And self-love and selfish. By the way, self-love and selfish. You also spoke about it already, that actually selfish is most likely the word that we hear from outside. We hear from outside a lot. So it means a control actions from someone. And sharing experience from my clinical work, self-love is difficult. It's easy to say, easy to speak, but difficult to do because of these words that's coming in to us. It's always intrusive. It's intrusive word that come to days and night. When I do some things for myself, these words coming in. And that's also pointing into deep down into that person's self. They even say, I'm not enough because I do this. I can't fulfill the needs of others. That's huge things around.
So, Tiri, could you move to the left a little bit? Your camera is kind of a little bit,
Yeah.
Okay, so the moment when someone gets to think about independence, freedom, people always say, you've been westernized. Perhaps not.
A lot.
Perhaps not.
A lot say, yeah.
That person that person is trying to open up and go beyond.
Yes.
And
fulfill their needs.
Yeah, because of internet, a lot of people get to see things from different countries. Apart from that, when someone wants to speak up, open up, they always label that person. You are westernized. You following westernized stuff. Perhaps not. So we have to always look at these things differently. Okay.
True. Yeah. Actually, it's nothing about westernized or eastern or whatever. It's about
it's the freedom. It's the independence.
Yes. Yeah. I want freedom. That's why I do this. I always say there was any suppressions comes freedom.
Yeah, because when we are not in independence, freedom, our thoughts are affected, our speech is affected, our actions are affected. So that's the biggest stumbling block, I think. And yeah, so my next question is actually how we can look at self-love. If the self-love is frowned upon by society, then we know the perfect term for this is self-acceptance. Now in self-love, what we see is self-acceptance. So I could say true self-love is in fact self-acceptance. It's about your own happiness and well-being. So if you are not happy, then you are not taking care of your well-being. You are not taking charge of you. So how do we substitute self-acceptance with self-love if self-love is socially stigmatized and frowned upon? But people know self-love as a buzzword, but self-acceptance is something that people can look at a little bit deeper, so that they understand what you see in self-love is none other than self-acceptance. So what do you think? Would this be a good substitution for self-love?
Okay, listening to you, I imagine, I hear the transformations. It's a process. It's not just the word itself, but I hear, you didn't say the word self-awareness, but I hear also the word self-awareness in there. Self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-love. And there's some people saying, which one come first, eggs or chicken? It reminds me of this. But self-love, to love yourself, you need to accept yourself. And as well, to accept yourself, you also need to love yourself as well. So both are really, it's different words, different, but it's correlated. I can't love myself if I don't accept myself who I am. Like if I'm so much in the denial that in my society, skin of color, I'm almost count as people. I mean, people could call me people with color. I'm yellow, a bit dark. If I allowed others words to hurt myself, I don't accept myself. Who am I? I would just have to go to like skin bleaching or whatever to make myself white. So that's again going back to what we spoke earlier about intrusive words from others. So I accept myself. I love my skin. I love the way am I. And if not, there are sometimes I have to admit that there are sometimes I use the skincare. I have to use the skincare just to make my skin the way I want. But and this is not denying myself. Some people would argue that no, if you truly love yourself, Sotheary, you just be the wild human being as before, as the early age. And I said, but then if I go back to that age, I won't love myself the way I am. So I do something also to love myself, but not to like exaggerate or being commercialized.
Because sorry to bother you, because they think that people have a certain role in each era. They don't want to accept the person in the way how she wants to be with the specific sort of feeling. They kind of label you. You have to be like this. You have to be like this.
Yes. You have to be like this. You have to be like this. It's true. A woman beautiful, you have to be 1, 2, 3. That's called a beautiful woman. That's often like this. You have to be white. You have to be this shapes, whatever. So if we don't accept ourselves and always try to fulfill the needs of others in terms of the way you should look, you cannot love yourself. And you cannot love yourself. Again, I want to deliver to share the word awareness. I speak earlier about these days, not just these days, I work a lot on my inner child. that's a self-awareness. That's a self-awareness I've been through after I'd aware that this is my missing point, this is my wounds, this is my unpleasant feeling. Being aware of it, accept it, do not deny it, and I can love myself. That's also it's really a huge process. And if I could describe it into psychotherapy, it's a long session. It's a long session. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about why we should care our self-love, why we should practice self-love. Why? Because we know it's a good thing, but why?
Okay. There are people who kill themselves because they don't love themselves. I don't want to exaggerate things, but case like this happen. People kill themselves because they cannot, they feel so much hurt. And hurt comes because you don't like yourself. You don't feel enough, especially the depressed people. When you live under, I always say the word, try to live free from people's expectations. Try to live your life. Don't live the life of others. That doesn't self-love. And it is okay. It is okay to refuse. It is okay to say no. I know that we learned from parenting, from school, from society, but it's okay to unlearn and learn new things to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, it's so hurt. It is hurt. How can you love others? Even you try to love others, it's fake. It's fake. You cannot love your husband. You cannot love your children if you don't love yourself. It's fake. It's like a fake smile. It's hurt. You can fake your smiles in a day, but in your bed, you bring it back like, oh my gosh, it's denial. And denial, again, holding the bowl of the fire. You cannot make peace to others if you cannot make peace to yourself. There's a lot of cases here that that I experience in my clinical works. It's all self-denial. Depression, suicide, quit jobs, a lot of things. It's about self-denial.
And you think the main reason behind all these tragedies is the lack of
Lack of
care,
self-love.
self-love. Great.
Yeah, and you can create war. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's
Okay. Now,
from here and to house and to community and to the world. If you don't find peace in yourself.
okay. So apart from the people who have been suffering and who suffered and who took their lives, what about other people who don't want to do that, but they are still suffering, struggling? So you ask them to sort of, look at your self-care, self-love aspect, and then start your self-improvement process from today. This is the sort of suggestion, right? And
Can I share one story from the
yeah,
community?
please.
I 2 years ago I was in my job I deliver trainings and workshops on to women who live with disabilities. I had a chance that time the projects travel the country here in Cambodia. One of the participants of many others, she had the chance to speak proudly in the workshop saying, missed. I am so happy that I can work for my community. I am the member of a commune council here in my village, in my commune. I am a mother of a young boy. My parents-in-law admire me so much that I can take care of them. I can take care of my parents. I can take care of my family members, my husband well, and I can also contribute my work to the commune, being a commune council. I am a superwoman. She said that. I'm so proud of myself. I'm a superwoman. I don't react much. I only ask her one question. Does this make you happy? And she was just crying. She was just crying. She said, No, I make others happy, but not me, because I really have time for myself, and I suffer a lot from this. That's a great example, talking about self-care and caring about others, living under expectation of others. And that's becoming, when we get back into power struggling against it, it's manipulative. It is manipulative. It's a used. It's a used. I also advocate this kind of aspect to women and family here. Like, we try to we did a lot of things to change the society, the family and society, that women has the right to go vote, women has the right to go out for work to earn the income. And then we have this, we achieve this. And back home, she has to do everything again. Households, housework, expectations from the family, from the in-law. That's not right. That's manipulative. So again, I call for every woman who thinks she should be the superwoman. That's, you don't love yourself, that's mean. Yep.
Great. Great. Okay, we come to the most important part of our discussion interview.
Oh.
That is what is all about, the sort of things that people can do, tips that you can share for people to practice self-love. Okay, so what are the tips or steps that people can do to practice self-care? How do we practice self-love, which is a part of self-care? What are the exact, let's kind of boil down to a couple of steps. Like, people know mindfulness, some people might say it's mindfulness. It could be, taking actions based on what you need rather than what you want, and healthy habits. And I probably think you have a different other, or probably the same, tips, steps that you can share with us. Can you sort of share with us a couple of steps people can practice in their daily life, for those who want to start today, for those who want to deepen their self-care, self-love practice?
Thank you. I won't speak about activity much, especially already there is commercials around, and that, and spreading around that, okay, self-love, you have to meditate, you have to do yoga, you have to sports, you have to lock in this app to make you to do your self-care. That's a lot happening these days, especially during the online digital kicks in during the COVID. There's a lot of app create for this. But the basic things that I think it could, again, if you follow just those app or those commercials, those commercialized things, or you just follow friends or suggestions from friends, it won't last long. So my tips to last long is that to love yourself, to take care of yourself, first you need to be yourself. Be yourself. Listen to yourself, what you want. Be yourself in terms of knowing what you want physically, mentally, your emotions, what hurts you, what not hurts you, what makes you happy, what makes you live meaningful. Again, there's a long topic about living happy and living meaningful life that I don't want to discuss here, because it's a huge things, debates as well about happy and living and meaningful. But starting to be yourself, again, not to live under others people's life and expectations. Live yourself. You can start and live and be yourself. You can start with every morning, just give a smile to yourself. Getting up gently, mindful about your living, mindful about your eating, mindful about what's around you. I know myself, even, and my body associate with those very well. If I feel upset, my skin tells me, my heart tells me. So I feel like I appreciate this, that this is a sign for me to take care of myself. And these days, I do a lot of things to avoid negative people. For example, if I know that negative people give me a bad energy, I avoid or I speak less to them. So that's part of be yourself and knowing yourself too. Living healthy, say no, speak for yourself, speak for yourself. Even you can speak to your boss, your parents. Communicate well that this is my need. This is what I want. Be transparent about your emotions is also tips to self-care. Yeah, and if you can do this, I'm sure that people around you also receive the love. A lot of people here I talk to when I deliver my workshop on self-care and other talks, they often, at least in every workshop, at least I hear from one or two saying, they call me net crew, they refer me net crew, it means like facilitator or teacher, say, what I want to get from you today is to be able to smile like you anytime, because I cannot do that. And that's what they said to me. And I say, well, you have to feel like you're pleased, you're happy with yourself. And also, sometimes life as up times that up and down. Sometimes I do a short meditations, looking into it, and I tell myself that yes, it is me. I don't deny it. And if it is too hard, I also try to fake my smiles, and then I can feel the smiles, and it heals me. It heals me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me summarize what you said. So the first thing that everyone has to do is be you, be yourself. But in that, Sotheary, some people might deny caring others too, because this is another very important part too. You have to care others too, but you should not forget about yourself, right? Care you first, and then care others. A lot of people, what they do is care others, they ignore them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
A good balance should be always there. Number two was, would you mind, sharing with us again? What's the second step you said?
I said, get up, live mindful.
Okay, mindfulness.
Like, live mindful. You can get up with a smile to yourself and eat healthy, something like that. Yeah.
Look at you with a smiling face at the same time. Do some external things as well as internal mental work.
Yeah. And it's aligned together.
Okay. What are the other things that they could do, like mini stuff on a day? Like, because we see, we kind of, get bombarded by a lot of negative things on the internet. There are, tragedies happening, people are dying, people are getting killed, people are doing bad things. Now, bad things are spreading very fast than the good things.
Yes.
If you look at the internet, you see a lot of negative stuff, right? People, a lot of negative stuff. So negativity is actually taking over the good positive stuff. So how does someone stay positive and maintain this attitude of self-care, self-love on a daily basis? I know, be yourself, smile a lot if you can, looking at your internal inside within your stuff, probably engage with your family and friends in a proper way. At the same time, how to stay away from this negative stuff on the internet and this negative stuff. So how would you think, what could be a good attitude? Because we can't stop internet, right? We can't stop what we see on internet. So how to look at them? That could be a good way to ask a question, about how to spend the day without being affected.
True.
Yeah.
True. Life is always up and down, and days is always like different things come to us. Like, also as a peace and conflict consultant, and women's advocates, what hurts me is hearing conflict, hearing violence, hearing war in this part of the world, and this. So that's really something that hits me. badly. So what I manage this is that I'm first will think that okay, it hits me now. Again, my heart speaks to me that this is something hurting, and I know myself that in the mornings, any times I feel or I experience that aggressive or that angry, it disturbs me at night. So really, again, the aspects of self-awareness. So I don't want to disturb my night. I really need to process myself immediately, or at least sometimes before I go to bed, etc. But to limit this, when I hear the conflict or arguments in social medias that fighting, I first starting also to practice. Before practice compassions, I start to filter the news. I start to filter the news. Is this fake news, or this is good news that I should go for? Is it, should I look at this photo? Should I click in? I click this link to look for photo that could be killing or could be whatever. So I really limit this. I really filter. And the way I do is also thank you to some of my good friends. I have different good friends in terms of when I'm in different good friends, I mean different expertise, different fields of work. So if I want to know this, like often I connect to my friends a lot and say, I'm detoxing my social media. For example, recently lockdown in Phnom Penh, I said, I'm detoxing Facebook or social media. So would you mind, like every evening, tell me a little bit, like a few points? That's what I did. That's what I did to friends, and they're happy. They don't find it burden. Then yeah, I think we lost. But practice compassion is also, and practice compassion is also one thing. Sometimes I tell myself that I cannot go and deal with to end the conflict there, to end the conflict in this. So I go in. I cannot go out, but I can go in to manage my angers and my stress.
compassionate.
Yes, be compassionate.
I like the way you term that, detoxing our social media use. That's a good way of looking at it, because we always have a choice, not whether to
Yes,
click or not. Yeah.
yes, yes.
And
Also to be angry with someone is also our choice, because angry, it's again, it's a boiling fire. So it's, you choose to keep angry with that one or make yourself happy. And a lot of people also confused with the word forgiving and forget. It's different. You don't forget, but you forgive because you're happy. You will be more happy with yourself.
this brings to my mind one of the Theravada Pali suttas given by the Buddha, Attarakkhita Sutta, in the Pali canon, wherein Buddha says, the real self-care is taking care of one's actions, speech, and thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, this is
Right.
what you said, what you brought up by saying we always have a choice whether to click or not, whether to follow this or not. We always can follow, unfollow, subscribe, unsubscribe, watch or not watch, right? So taking care of your thoughts mean taking care of your mind from covetousness, uh, thoughts of killing other people, destroying other beings, and then from wrong view. Taking care of the speech means taking care of your speech from lying, slandering, talking behind the back, from hurtful words, and being a gossip or idle chatter. Taking care of your actions mean take care of you from killing other beings, stealing, and misbehaving. So the same thing. So people always have an opportunity to protect oneself. At the same time, uh, one of our actually friends here pointed out something as a comment. Equanimity is important for mental health. So equanimity is a kind of balance. This is what I'm going to ask you next, Sotheary. Now, because time is kind of speeding up, I wanted to ask you this particular aspect of self-care. Now, as I brought up at the beginning, self-love is often frowned upon and then branded as an element of selfishness. So, how to stay selfless, especially when we want to practice self-love? Because I also always think that the accusation of selfishness that people bring to self-love might conceal an attempt of manipulation. Because when people want to manipulate, they say, "Hey, you are selfish." Now, the other thing is there are
They make you rethink.
make you rethink,
Yeah,
am I
yeah,
selfish? Am I
yes.
selfish? Now,
Question yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see this twofold, like in two angles. One is projections. The other aspect is rationalization. Now, for example, now people project about selfish things. They say, "Look how selfish he is, she is. I would never do such a thing." I mean, they're kind of telling to other people or telling to themselves, or they kind of rationalize the particular event. I am not being selfish. I am doing what is best for everyone. They kind of vocal about it. They look at what other people do and they kind of brand that they are selfish and they are self-pleasing themselves. I'm not like
Mm.
that. So I probably think we need some selfishness to survive, both literally and figuratively. But it is not the selfishness that
Yeah,
the society frowned upon.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's not the, it's not the gravest bad thing, right? It's not the most negative bad thing. But I don't think self-love that we talk about is not the kind of selfishness that people always brand. Because the thing is, the most important part in our discussion is that self-love is something where we consider ourselves as valuable as others. We are not trying to miss out on that most important part, no more, no less. So true acceptance of this notion, ourselves, and so on and so forth, eliminates insecurities, because we all may have insecurities when we don't look at us, because other people's stuff matter. Okay, I'm not that good because I'm not looking at my kid, right? As well as the resentment towards other people. So when we have self-love, then we no longer have the need to prove ourselves to others. Some people, they brag a lot. Yeah, I'm like this, so and
Mm.
so forth, because they don't believe in themselves. You don't need to say that. You don't need to brag about you, right? So self-love, the kind of self-love we talk about, doesn't make us proud, boastful, or envious. Instead, it makes us patient, more understanding of others, overall make us a better person. So with all that in mind, I wanted to ask you this last question before the conclusion. Now, there are two aspects then again about handling self-love. One is selfishness, for those who do not care at all oneself and other people. The second aspect is people who are overly altruistic. They are overly concerned. They don't have a good sleep. They don't have a good shower. They make money. They all spend on other people. You know, so they are on the both extremes. So selfishness for those who only think about them. Some people only think about others. They don't think about themselves at all. So how do you see these two, and how do you ask those people to stay balanced? So the concept is equanimity. This is the Buddhist concept. So with that, we can go into the conclusion.
You remind me of the Buddha teachings, taking the middle way. Yes, the middle way. I practice myself as well. Let's not live in a difference. Let's not living in extremes, one dimensions. So middle ways is a great, it's a great practice. Living in middle ways. Also, what I did is also again come back to compassion. When I do things that I do for myself, I also ask questions that I don't ask questions, is it selfish, but I put myself in a compassion mode. Like if I were them, what, how would I perceive? So I don't ask myself, is it selfish if I do that? No, I don't. Because I believe that a lot of things that I do for myself is just for myself. It's not selfish, because the selfish for me means if I manipulate others, if I if I like, yeah, manipulate others, or stealing others, or disturbing others. I don't. I do things just for myself. For example, I eat the whole potatoes when I'm hungry. But if I feel like, if I see others, if I see you hungry, I can share with you. But it's my decisions to give you half or to give you 1/3. And that doesn't mean selfish. You can't say, "Come on, you're selfish. You get 2/3 and I'm 1/3." It's your definitions. Me, I'm not. I may have my reason why I eat 2/3 and I give you 1/3. Um, Reasons around compassions. I and when I talk about self-love and selfish, I also keep asking myself, well, if I do things that I feel selfish, which I don't often do. I don't often feel selfish because I balance enough. But at the end of the day, if you do selfish things, you're sad in the evenings. You don't feel happy. You don't feel happy at the end of your day. You don't praise yourself. You don't praise you don't praise the day if you're doing some selfish act. And again, like, you question yourself. And question yourself is not it's not the good thing. Balance yourself. So keep it short, balance it, middle way, practice compassion. Is it enough for you, or is it just a greedy act? Is it enough? Is it greedy? What if I share? And if I share, I also feel good. So self-love and sharing also make you feel good. It's not about, it's for others, but also it's for yourself. And I really strongly suggest those who experience the extremes come into middle ways and practice this.
Some people, they quantify. I think most people, they quantify, is it a bit of selfishness and bit of altruism, and I'm okay. Is that, how do you respond to that? So like when you say the balance, we know that we are supposed to be in the middle path, be in the middle. And when you take charge of you, we can't say that is exactly being selfish, because even the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they had to fulfill the paramitas, perfection, to become the Buddha, right? If they always did help others the way that people expected, that they could not have attained the enlightenment. So which means we should have a perfect balance between selfishness and altruism. So we should not choose one or the other. A lot of people, they choose one or the other. They choose either selfishness or they choose altruism. So we should not choose one or the other. We have to have a perfect balance between these two.
Yeah. And to be nice to yourself, to love yourself, and to be nice to yourself, we have to accept that you accept your flaw. People has flaw. People do good things. People has flaw. Sometimes if I do things that I myself feel selfish, or people really just, everyone like projecting on me, pointing fingers on me, you're selfish. It is also okay to live with it, accept it, and move on. Heal yourself. Like, get it as a lesson learned as well. Do not just drowning into the belief that, oh, I'm bad, I cannot move on, I cannot
Because of
move
others'
out.
comments.
Yes, of others' comments. So accept your flaw is also a part of the self-care and self-love.
Great. Sotheary, are there any other things you wanted to add as the conclusion? Was there anything that you missed out on sharing with us? You can now bring them.
I may speak a lot about self-care for women, but self-care and self-love is not only for women, it's for every human being, because we need to be healthy, so the rest of the family and the rest of the society and the world healthy. So do it together. Do not just say you're weak, you're strong enough, you're a man, you are a woman, you are a boy, you are a girl. We live in a divided. We live in a enough divided society. Let's bring love to the society from loving yourself. I believe a change happens. It starts from small things, and it starts from you.
Changes happen with us. At the same time, I think we are the change agents.
Yes.
We think that other people will change our destiny to a better, successful one.
Yeah.
So thank you. At the same time, someone is asking, tell us about what EMDR means as a comment. Because you say psychotraumatology and trauma treatment. What does EMDR mean?
Okay. EMDR is one of the latest psychotherapy, psychotherapeutic therapy. That E stand for I, movement, decentralizations, and reprocessing. It's EMDR, yeah. I, movement, and reprocessing. It's we believe this is one latest psychotherapies that involve with unlock the memory in the in the brain, because when the traumas when people experience trauma, the traumatized experience, the moods and whatever is associated with the traumas lock in our central brain, the limbic system, the amygdala, and it's always alarming. It's always alarming. I'm living in an insecure, re-experiencing, re-triggerings, and all of this. So EMDR is an eye movement. When we do therapy, there are few people, but most use is eye movement, because when you move, it's the way to unlock your brain's memory. Yeah.
Great.
Explaining in shorts.
Unlocking process of the locked brain. So never heard that the brain can be locked.
It is locked. That's why a lot of people leave the present, leave the past in the present.
Great.
Because of the brain and the memory.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sotheary, for your time and for your valuable sharing. Thank you so much. At the same time, I wanted to thank our audience watching from far and wide. They have a lot of comments as well. I don't have a lot of time to read all that, but hopefully comment after. And I think that we enjoyed, certainly we enjoyed your sharing about, because you are a psychologist, psychotherapist, and a person who is very vocal about all this. And this is not the first time you've been vocal about it, because you've been vocal about the same topics at different distinguished places, TED Talks, and many other places. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have to say that I can be, some people say you can't be an advocate. You can't be an advocate and peace at the same time, but I think it's possible.
You can be both at the same time.
Yes.
You can be an advocate at the same time. You can be a peace activist.
Yes, at the same time.
Yeah, we had to break free all these unnecessary. I'm not saying unnecessary. These kind of like normal human emotions and thoughts that they think. They always think social stuff from one dimension. Like people, we have to see. We have to look at everything from different dimensions so that we can see people are differently good, right?
Yeah. People judge, like people think this is orange, this is blue. You have to choose one. Actually, you don't need to choose. You can.
I probably think it's not the people; it's the mind. Mind always wants to find out the start and the end. Right?
Yes.
The beginning and the end. This is the nature of the mind. So they kind of fall prey to that mind.
Yes.
But we have to see. We don't see the mind.
Teaching.
But we don't see the mind. We see the people. We see it's the people.
True. You're right.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Sotheary. Thank you, everyone, watching this.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for other interviews coming up. And have a good night. Have a good day. Take care.